What is up, and welcome to Twin Dragon Podcast Show. We're your hosts. My name is Mike.
And I'm Bobby. The show will be about two young working professionals going through the craziness of life. We'll have fun conversations about current events and what's happening in our lives. So why do you want to know more?
Well, if you're bored at home, eating, or just chilling, and want to listen to something new, you've come to the right place.
All right, guys, welcome back to Twin Dragon Podcast. My name is Bobby.
And I'm Mike.
And today we have a really special guest. Her name is Sonia. She used to be my trainer at Camp Gladiator, but now she has her own company at Delta Performance. She's a running specialist. So here's Sonia.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here this morning, guys.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you for being on with us. Sonia, what sort of, tell us your story. How did you sort of end up where you are right now?
Yeah. Oh gosh, let's see. I've been coaching since I was 17. I used to coach youth track and field.
Wow.
And yeah, coaching like little kids, 5, 6-year-olds. I never thought I'd have to teach someone how to stay like in a lane on a track, but it was a lot of fun. So that kind of sparked my interest, and then I went off to college and I was studying all kinds of different, you go to college and you like study this, you study a little bit of that till you figure out what you want to do. And when I got done, I still had this desire to coach and train and be around the track and be around people who want to be bettering themselves and so I just kind of kept pursuing that. After college, I worked at a community college as the strength coordinator for a track team there. And then I moved to Austin, Texas, where I started working with Camp Gladiator and met Bobby. And I really loved it. I just missed being around running. And that's kind of my, running is my background. I've been running track since I was like 10. And I just really missed being around that atmosphere. So that's why I decided to start Delta Performance, which is a running program to help runners of all levels, whether you're a brand new runner or whether you don't even maybe see yourself as a runner, but you've always wanted to run a 5K or a half, all the way up to people who are, doing regular marathons and triathlons and things like that.
Was it hard to, I guess, make that big move to Austin?
It was really hard, especially because my husband and I we were living in Dodge City, Kansas, which if you've ever been to Kansas, there's not much there. Like the slogan "Get the heck out of Dodge" was literally came from where we were living.
Wow.
Yeah. There's not much going on there, but they had for a community college, they actually had a pretty decent track program, and I really enjoyed working with the coaches there, and that was my first real taste of like coaching on my own, if that makes sense. I didn't, I'd been coaching track for a while, but it was always like I would show up and the head coach would say, "Hey, this is what I need you to run the kids through today." Whereas at the community college, since I was the strength coordinator, the coaches were, relying on me to make their strength program based off of all the running workouts. So I spent several weeks, looking at their running workouts that they had, for this week, for that week, for this month, next month, for all the way up until like the championships and stuff. And I had to build out a program and run everybody through it. So that was my real first taste of like building programs and around people's goals and things. So that was I really enjoyed that. But the move to Austin was tough because, I was leaving that, which for a lot of coaches, that's like a dream job.
Yeah.
But my husband and I just weren't happy living in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. And I have family in the Austin area, a lot of family actually in the Austin area. And
wow.
yeah, and we just wanted to be closer to family, and so I really started Camp Gladiator just because I needed a job.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
But you're really good at it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you
that's what happened. Yeah, I ended up really falling in love, and I loved working. I didn't realize how much I loved working with the general public
Mm,
until I started doing Camp Gladiator and working with adults who, want to better themselves. And I'm really big on constantly bettering yourself, whether you're
mhm.
reading books or whether that's like physical, mental, whatever that is. And so honestly, Bobby, being around you at CG and other campers, like it was so inspiring to see so many people, who didn't come from a background like me, where I was put in sports and played sports my entire life, and being around so many people who are like, hey, I am being athletic for the first time in my life at age, you know, 28, 29, some of them like in their 40s, and seeing them come out and want to better themselves in that aspect, it was really inspiring, and I really fell in love. So anyways, fast forward 5 years later, I was like, okay, I'm ready to kind of get back to my running roots, but I
Mm,
still wanted to work with the general public, which is why I started my Delta Performance program.
Wow.
nice.
Do you,
Yeah.
I guess, do you prefer kids, working with kids, or adults now?
Don't tell the kids that I'm training this week, but I definitely prefer my adults. Kids are great. I really enjoy working with kids as well. It's when I say kids, I guess I prefer like the middle high school age
Okay.
to like the younger kids what I first started out with. There are a lot of the younger kids, they're fun, but it's not as, it's not as technical. A lot of it is just, hey, we're literally just trying to make track and field fun for these young kids so that they want to keep coming back next year and next year and next year.
Okay.
Whereas I love getting technical. I have my big focus, I'm a running performance specialist, but I'm very good. I don't know how to say this without sounding super cocky. I'm very good at training people for like speed and short distances, and like getting very technical with top end speed running mechanics and things like that.
Wow.
So yeah, so I enjoy working with like high school kids, because when a when an athlete gets to high school, that's when you like really get to start kind of not picking at their form, but like, picking certain things and saying, hey, you're running really well, but if we can adjust these little things here in your start, or get your acceleration out of the blocks a little bit better, that's when it gets like really fun for me, getting really nerdy and geeky, and watching people and noticing like, oh, when you take your first step out of the blocks, your hips are dropping like this. If we do these strength exercises, that'll help to adjust your hips, and then you'll come out and be driving a little bit better through your drive phase, and that kind of stuff. So I enjoy the little kids, but it's not as technical as I like to be.
Yeah, I think it's when you talked about blocks, it kind of reminds me of middle school.
Yeah.
I played football in middle school, and then when I transferred to, doing track, you know how there's a stance when you get on the track? I did a football stance instead of a track stance. So it's like
Oh,
football
like when
stance is
you're,
like,
oh yeah, when you're about to like
it's
hike the
like you're
ball.
squatting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They're like, Bobby, what are you doing?
I'm sure you looked great, Bobby.
It probably still ran pretty well, right?
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you have any
Yes.
questions?
So Sonia, it sounds like you did both like strength training and also like sort of like running coaching. Like,
Mhm.
did you sort of, I guess like how were you always into the running, and then the strength training was just kind of more from the sort of like the opportunity you were given in college, or do you also sort of like incorporate that as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So I I'll be honest, when I was in college running track, I did not always look forward to my lifting days.
Mm,
Um, but as I kept going through, I spent 4 years running track in college, and as I kept going through it, it kind of became like a labor of love, I guess. I would
mm,
like not really enjoy. I knew going into the weight room, I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe we have to do this right now. and just the idea of like putting a barbell on your back and counting out your reps, 1, 2, 3, like it just was so daunting to me. But
uh-huh.
as I started to get a little bit more, as I just started to learn about the sport, and then like human biomechanics and how our muscles work and things like that, I realized how important lifting is
Mm,
to just keep you injury free, especially when we're talking about running. there are so many like little common running injuries. Like you hear shin splints, you hear people saying, oh, I can't run because I have knee pain or low back pain or whatever it is. And all of these running injuries can be fixed simply by doing some very basic strength training. And I think so what really got me wanting to do my program was working with Camp Gladiator, working with the general public, and then getting all these campers asking me, because they knew me as the running trainer. They would, I'm sure Bobby can attest to that, but I would get all these people coming to me and they'd ask me these questions. They'd be like, how do I get rid of shin splints? Or like, oh, my knees hurt when I run. Like, or they would tell me like, oh, I can't run ever. I'm never going to be able to run a 5K because I get back pain when I run. And I'm over here like, no, you can. You just have to have the correct training for it. So I wanted to build Delta, and I wanted to make sure that we had that strength aspect in it because it is so important for your running. And that's my big thing with Delta is making sure that, yes, I want to make you a faster runner, but first and foremost, I want to make sure that you can run without pain. So that's one of the big things that we focus on.
Wow, gotcha.
Where did the name Delta come from?
Yeah.
So this is gonna sound so corny. Well, first off, it's a 3-phase program. So it's a month-long program, and there's 3 different phases that we tackle in it. The first phase is a foundation phase, and it's very basic. We go over basic running drills, we go over basic lifting techniques, and we go over like basic running like cardio workouts, right? And then our second phase is absolute speed and strength, and that's over all distances. So our focus changes a little bit to help you speed up your running, whether you're running like a 12-minute mile, or whether you're running an 8-minute mile and you're trying to get those faster, or you're just like, hey, I'm just trying to go from walking my miles to running my miles. And then our last phase is it's called reactive power. And this is all about one of the big things that runners, just as a general population, if you're not like a pro athlete or something, we don't take into consideration that you're having to react to ground forces with every single step you're taking when you run. And there's specific training that you should be doing to help with that. Whether that's muscle training or literally like jumping and stuff. So it's a lot of like plyometric, like easy plyometric work, things like that. So that's the technical reason why it's called Delta Performance. But I have one tattoo, and it's different triangles. And I really wanted like to use, my logo is not on here, but I really wanted to use a triangle some way, somehow. And then it just kind of worked out perfectly that I was planning on doing a 3-phase program. And I was like, oh, like Delta, there's, 3 corners to a triangle, and it can work. So yeah, that's kind of how I came up with it.
I think, do you have any more questions?
No, I think it has a good ring to it.
Yeah.
Delta Performance.
Oh, yay, thank you. I'm glad.
I guess before going on, I know we didn't introduce too much about ourselves. Did you have any questions for us, I guess, to lighten the mood?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, okay, Bobby, like, what are you doing these days? I know, like,
what are you doing these days?
What are you doing these days, Bobby? Tell me.
So I don't work at the Children's Hospital anymore. I work for a health company called Superior. So I do a whole bunch of different things. And so now I work on the opposite side of town, like more south, near the airport, basically.
Oh yeah.
What else? I am trying to do a different profession. Basically, I'm learning coding. I think during the pandemic, I learned a lot about like people, just new creators popping up. And for the longest time, I wanted to do YouTube or something. And my friend Mike, we known each other for a while, and I was like, we should do a podcast. But at the same time, I have a lot of fear of like putting myself out there. So like even in the YouTube channel right now, our faces aren't on there right now.
Oh my gosh, you should totally put your face on there. You'll have good faces.
Thank you. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Can't think of anything else. Yeah, I think the podcast is something new that's all I'm kind of doing. I think in terms of workout, I'm doing
The
more.
big question.
Yeah.
The workout.
That's not where I was going, but I love
I'm
it.
doing more home workouts because it just seems to work better for me because I
Yeah.
save time and I get to get things done quicker or at my own pace. And I live in a decent quiet neighborhood where I can run because I run to Town Lake a lot and stuff like that.
Oh, nice. Town Lake is so good. I'm jealous of your location.
But we definitely like want to have like a gym set up, something like what you have right there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's all you have to do is start accumulating stuff. I'm like looking at my wall of equipment, which is like behind my computer screen over here. You just have to start accumulating stuff and then boom. That's the thing about workout equipment. I think the pandemic was not good for a lot of things, but I think it was so good for so many people to realize that like working out at home and just working out in general it can be so easy and so inexpensive. Like you don't need to have a gym, like a fancy membership at a gym. You really don't need to have a bunch of crazy equipment either. Like my Delta is a virtual program. It's all online. And my athletes, we literally use a couple sets of dumbbells and like one mini band, and that's it. And then we go run. And that's all like that's really all you need. You don't need a bunch of fancy equipment. Now, unless you just enjoy doing, stuff with like medicine balls and all kinds of other things. Yes, but for general fitness, you really don't need a lot. And I think I love that you're working out at home and because it's so convenient. It's so easy. It's so convenient. And yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of, like you said, accumulated a small amount of workout equipment over time. I think I wanted a bench and I got a bench, but I only have like dumbbells and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's so much you can do. There's so many things you can do with a bench and some dumbbells. I mean, you can do step ups on it. You can do box jumps. You can do push-ups on it. You can do bench presses. Like a bench is so versatile. Like you can do so much. Oh yeah. I think that having a program to follow, whether it's Camp Gladiator, whether it's something like Delta, whether it's something that you got from a trainer who wrote it specifically for you, that's so valuable because I can come into my garage and say, okay, what did I do yesterday? I did XYZ and my goal is this. Okay, I should probably do a workout similar to this. And I can like quickly write myself something that stays within, the boundaries of my goals and things like that. But a lot of people don't know how to do that. And that's just like anything else. You wouldn't go try to teach. Well, I mean, you could go try to teach yourself Spanish or algebra, but it'd be really difficult to do without having a teacher there. So
yeah, getting started is always the hardest part.
You want to
introduce? Well, I'll introduce myself pretty quick. So my name is Mike. I'm a medical student. We're actually in New York filming this. So
what? I didn't know that.
Surprise! This is actually not in Texas, but in New York. So yeah, I've been here for 3 years now. So we met each other in college in Austin. And then I moved to New York for med school.
Wait, where at in New York are you?
I'm in Manhattan.
NYC?
No, yeah.
I'm going to be there in September. I would love to meet you in person, Mike.
Oh yeah, we are. Oh yeah, he's coming back in September too. So we can get the whole gang together.
Oh yes, let's do it. Let's get the whole gang together. I love that. Oh my God, yeah. That would be so fun. I'm going to stay with a friend who lives in Manhattan. So
nice, just like him.
Let's do it. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, I'm in. I'll let you guys know.
Cool.
September 8th through the 18th. That's when I'll be there.
Maybe we can have like part 2 going on after that.
Oh yeah.
I would love that. Oh my gosh, yeah, I would love that. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So Mike, you're a medical student.
Yes.
Wait, what kind of medicine?
So I'm actually applying into radiology. So that's like a more specialized area of medicine.
Mhm.
Mostly kind of just like reading the images on patients who like, for instance, like somebody gets like a fracture or like a injury,
Mhm.
and like, the people who actually read the films are the radiologists. And then we tell
Okay.
like the doctors like, hey, this is what's going on with your patient. You should do X, Y, Z, etc.
Oh, I
Yeah.
did not know that about a radiologist.
Yeah, most people don't know radiologists exist and that they actually coordinate most of the care for the patient. They're just kind of in the back, like,
Oh,
it's all good.
okay. So you're super important. Okay. Okay. Look out, world. Here comes Mike.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you actually have a question? Did you ever thought you would like start a business?
Man, I not until recently. I always just thought I would work as a track coach at a high school or a like a college or something.
Mhm.
I never really thought that I would be doing this. And I will say, as much as I love Team Delta and everything that I'm doing, like the day that the head coach at UT calls me and is like, Sonia, we need you to be an assistant coach, I'm gonna be like, ooh, I gotta go. um, that's probably never gonna happen though. But no, I didn't, it's a lot of work being a business owner.
Mm,
I never really thought that I would be doing this on my own, but really the pandemic kind of forced me to do it. This was kind of I had a 2-year plan to gradually leave Camp Gladiator and kind of do my own thing running Delta Performance.
mm.
But then the pandemic hit and nothing was happening and didn't have anything to do, and my wedding got canceled with my husband because pandemic.
Right.
and um and yeah, so I was like, well, I have nothing going on, I'm literally not even planning a wedding anymore, so I might as well just
Start a business.
finally take the steps of starting a business. So the first thing was building my website, which, man, I am not a like coder or programmer, and that is a real pain
That's
in the
you.
butt.
That's all you.
I should
Get
hire
this
you,
guy.
Bobby. um, but yeah, so that was a real pain in the butt. But then, once I got all of like the tech stuff situated,
Mhm.
I was able to really focus on building my, program and stuff like that, which that's the fun part. I sat there with like all of my textbooks. I had my, my anatomy of movement book right here. And I had my USA track and field book here. And then I had the Cooper Institute, personal training book over here, and I like had it all laid out, and I was like, ooh, what are we gonna do? Oh my gosh, that's what I like geek out about, is like thumbing through books and like watching muscles move. And I'm such a nerd, but I love it.
It's okay. I'm a mess student. Same thing. I
I'm
understand.
sure, yeah, I was like, I'm sure you do the same thing. You're like, oh my god, did you know that when you do this to your muscle it does that? Like, fascinating.
Yeah. Yep. Been there.
Oh
But I
yeah.
guess like how did you sort of like, it sounds like there's a lot to a lot of knowledge. Like did you like learn that all in college, or like was that sort of like you continuing like learning more as you became after you became a trainer, or like so like
Yeah.
yeah, how did you accumulate, or like where does that happen along the way?
Yeah, so I was actually studying journalism at Rutgers University.
Oh.
Wow, it's completely
Yeah, completely different.
different.
Completely different. Yeah. Yeah, and I decided after doing that, I was like, wow, I don't want to be a journalist. um, I just loved being around the track, and I would go home on my summer vacations and things, and I would go and I would help out with the track team that I've been helping out with since I was 17 years old. Anyways, um, yeah, I just, like I said in the beginning, I'm very big of constantly benefiting yourself or bettering yourself, excuse me. And so I was always like, even through college, I was always like reading, Runner's World magazines and like trying to figure out like why we're doing the things that we're doing, to the point where I would literally, I'm pretty sure the trainer Jen, I think her name was Jen. When you're a Division I athlete, like you basically have like 4 personal trainers. You have your track
Wow.
coach, and then you have your like a lot of times you have like your head track coach who's giving you your running workouts and things. Then you have your like specialty coach who is taking you through, like I was a pole vaulter, so they're taking through it, track practice and stuff. And then you have your weightlifting coach. And then you also have your athletic trainer who's making sure, every time you have like any sort of, ow, my quad hurts, I have like this, that kind of feels like an injury, you're going to see them as well. So anyways, I'm pretty sure my athletic trainers thought I was like the most annoying kid ever, because I'd always be like, I'd go in and be like, my low back is hurting. And they'd be like, okay, lay on the table. We're going to they're like hook you up to stem stuff, and they would like put ice on you and they'd rub you down with this, and they'd like put this like cream on you or whatever. And I'd always be like, why are we doing that? What is that? What is that? Da-da-da. I would like literally come in with a notepad and be like, I want to know everything that you're doing and why you're doing it. Yeah, so that kind of started my knowledge. And I would do the same thing in the weight room. I'm pretty sure that my weight room coach also thought I was annoying, because I'd come in, the way that it worked at Rutgers, at least, they had 2 weight rooms, and like one weight room was for, sports XYZ. And then the other weight room was for, these sports. And so I would come in on my days when I wasn't supposed to be in there, when the track kids were done, and I would go and be like, hey, can I have some extra work to do? And my trainer would be like, she'd be like, you hate lifting. But yeah, and I would literally do it because I wanted to just know like why we're doing things and what else I could do to make my body just perform better and move better and be injury free. So that's really kind of where it started. And then like when I thought about leaving all of that behind and being a journalist for like,
The rest
the
of your life.
local news or something, yeah, I was like, oh, that sounds like a death sentence. It was like, wow, I cannot. And then also the thought of having to, and I'm sorry to say this to everybody who's probably going to be mad at me, but like I could not imagine putting on business casual attire. Like that was just like, I can't, no. So I'm like, I want to be in sweatpants and sneakers all the time. And that seems like such a silly reason to change your career path, but I'm very big on like you have to be comfortable in what you're doing. And if wearing a suit and tie to work does not make you comfortable, like probably need a different profession. That's just the way that I look at it. But yeah. Man, I forgot the question because I was like so excited about telling you how much I did not want to be a journalist.
I think you kind of answered.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then I just kept reading and kept, constantly reading. My husband thinks I'm a nerd. Oh, go. Yeah.
The current Olympics.
Yeah, I'm watching it. Wait, what?
Have you seen the women's 1500 run?
I didn't get to watch that one. I was so upset. I was so upset.
There was a scenario or a story I wanted to share with you is that it's because I also used to run long distance and track until I came to college and gained all this weight.
Yeah.
So in the race, there was actually a woman from Austin.
Yeah.
And, she was doing the 1500, but she was also a lawyer. But you can definitely tell that, she may not have like, I guess, kind of like what you explained, a workout coach, a specialty coach,
yeah,
and all that, because all those other runners, they look really healthy, beefy, not too beefy, but she looked really skinny compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
I guess what is your thoughts on that if you kind of observe that?
Man, there's so much that can go. There's so much that can play into that. One, everybody's body type is a little bit different. You've got endomorphs, ectomorphs, all kinds of things. And that's just like your kind of predetermined body type when you're born. But there is a big, distance runners are pretty thin, but there's a big in the distance world, especially, and this goes for males and females. There is like eating disorders are very common.
Mm.
Because as you lose, I mean, and this totally makes sense. The skinnier you are, the less you weigh, the easier it's going to be to move that weight down the track, right? So and I hate that my mind goes to that, because I don't want to see an athlete who looks, really skinny and automatically think like, oh, they're probably not eating well. But it is so common in the endurance athlete world to be a little bit malnourished, on both sides, because there comes a point where, you'll be moving faster and faster and faster because you're thinner, but your muscles are still able to keep up. But there comes a point where, and Mike, I'm sure you know this really well, and you, Bobby, like there comes a point where you are getting diminished returns because now your body is literally breaking down. And I have worked with athletes. I actually have a couple of athletes I'm training right now who have struggled with eating disorders. I have had friends, I've had teammates, like all across the board from middle school all the way up to college, who have had like eating disorders in the endurance world, because it's true, like you will start to move faster. So whenever I see an athlete on the track who just like looks too skinny, that I hate that that's where my mind goes, but that's exactly what I kind of think is like, oh, they're probably just not eating well. And that's such a hard conversation to have, because they could also just be skinny.
Yeah. Yeah.
They could also just be like, that's just their body type, and they are eating a lot and they are eating healthy. So that's one of the harder things about catching that in the endurance world is, endurance athletes are naturally thin.
Yeah.
Because that's their muscle types for what they're doing but yeah, that's a really hard one to catch. And honestly, most of the time, the sad truth is most of the time, these athletes who do have an eating disorder, they will perform at a really high level, and you won't catch, as a coach or a trainer, you won't catch the eating disorder until it's like, oh wow, we are having, our bones are literally breaking from running, and we're developing heart problems because we're not eating enough and fueling our body enough. So unfortunately, like that's the reality of it, is that most trainers and coaches aren't catching these things until it's like almost too late. Like, oh, we need to go to the hospital because you're like, you're getting stress fractures in places you shouldn't be getting stress fractures.
Wow.
Or you're, passing out after a couple of runs that shouldn't have been that hard. So I love that you asked that though, Bobby, because it's something that doesn't get talked about enough, I think. And I think that as coaches and as people in the medical industry, like we need to be aware of those things. We need to be telling people like, hey, you can run extremely well. You can, or compete, whatever you're doing, you can compete extremely well, but your nutrition is so vital to that, because for your longevity, like, yeah, you're going to see short-term gains, but your longevity, like you're not going to be able to last if you're not fueling your body.
Yeah. And I just want to disclaim everyone, I just wanted to make sure that, I guess your perspective on that. But she did give a really good kick at the end. She was second to last at the very in the beginning, but at the very end she gave a really good kick. Yeah, she did really well, and especially since she's a lawyer.
She's got a lot going on in her life. I need to go watch that race. I've been following it. I have a couple of former teammates from Rutgers competing.
Wow.
And I've been watching a little bit more I've been watching like the field events a lot more, and I missed the 1500 women's.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess since we're on like these scenarios, we can sort of give these fitness scenarios that we kind of thought of too.
Yeah.
It's a segment called Inspire Us. So basically we're going to give you a scenario and you're supposed to inspire us or just the person in this scenario.
Yeah. So the first one is I don't know if you like I guess like seeing you're more running focused. Maybe I don't know if this pertains, but I'm sure it probably fits. Someone who can't bulk up easily and is like skinny fat. What would you do or tell them?
Yeah, and they're trying to bulk up, man. Bulking up, okay. First and foremost, for all I understand the skinny fat because that's me. I have been the skinny fat. I get it. And bulking up is in all honesty, from a physiological standpoint, is more challenging than losing weight. From a mental standpoint, like that's a whole different story. But from a strictly like physiological standpoint, like bulking up is so hard to do. Because not only are you going to have to like eat way more than you're used to, you also need to be lifting and working out and pushing weights that are going to help you grow your muscle mass. And then that, yes, but the hardest part is like being patient and continuously doing it, because it takes just we're so, as a society, we're so impatient these days, and we want these quick fixes, and
So true.
people don't realize that that'll take, like, it takes about 2 months to see a simple like 10% growth in your muscle mass. And that's if you're working out very regularly, you're on your schedule, you're on your routine. Like, that's 2 months to grow your muscle mass like nothing. Yeah, can you see that? Like that much. So yeah, so what I would tell somebody who wants to bulk up, I would say stick with it. Like, it is going to be frustrating. There are going to be days where you're like, man, I haven't seen any sort of progress in literal like months. Stick with it. Stick with it. Keep going. On the days when you're like, I don't want to do this, go. Even if you, sorry, this is family friendly. Even if you feel like you're half butting the workout, like, go. That will make a difference over the long run, as you just being consistent with it. And find a coach. Like, seriously, find a coach. Doing it on your own is so much harder than having a coach, or even at least a teammate, like at least a friend who wants to do this with you. Doing these things on your own are so hard because there is such a huge mental aspect to it. So yeah, that would be my advice, is stick with it.
And I just also want to let you know, the reason that we came up with this segment is because when I was in Camp Gladiator, you gave really good speeches, or like, if anyone can do it, it wouldn't be as hard. I remember that one.
Yes.
It was
if it were easy, everyone would do it. Yes, that's so true.
The other one that I have is someone who can't lose weight easily, but is dieting and exercising. I guess it's taken a long time to lose the weight.
Yeah. Man, same concept there though. You have to think about it when you finally make the decision, like, hey, I'm going to stick with this, I'm going to lose weight. You have to look back and say, we have all these goals of, I want to lose 50 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever it is. You have to look back and say, how long did it take me to gain that 20 pounds, right? You didn't go to bed one day weighing 140 pounds and then wake up the next day weighing 200 pounds. You didn't gain 60 pounds overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. You gained that, weight, whatever it was. It took months to do that. And maybe, if somebody's at a point where they're, they've been the same weight for forever, well, they've kind of plateaued, and that's great. But now we need to just be kind to ourselves and understand that it's going to take time to lose that weight.
Yeah.
Having the right diet is important. And I'm probably going to make some of your listeners mad, but stop doing keto, people. Stop doing keto. That makes no sense. Why on earth are we putting butter in our coffee to lose weight? That doesn't make any sense. Anyways, a good nutritionist or dietitian is going to tell you, the best diet out there is one that you can stick with for the long run, not one that is just a quick fix that you're going to lose 20 pounds in 20 days. That is not only is that not healthy, but that's also not sustainable. You're going to gain that weight back in 20 days. I can guarantee it. but also a diet that consists of whole foods. We're talking carbohydrates. Carbs are good for you. Okay, carbs are good for you. We're talking fruits, veggies, those are carbs. Go eat a salad, that's a carb. Whole grains, eating a well-rounded diet with lots and lots of colors, lots and lots of fruits and vegetables. That's going to be the best diet. And yeah, the inspiration, I guess, would be, it's going to be hard. It's going to be just like with anything in fitness. It's going to be hard. It's going to be frustrating. There are going to be days when you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. You're going to wake up and you're going to doubt yourself a little bit. You might even say some not nice things to yourself. But the best thing that you can do is to just be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, and just keep moving forward and surround yourself with people who are going to help you get to the point that you want to get to, and including a coach.
Do you want to ask the different one here?
Yeah, there's one more, because there's one more scenario that I heard. I don't know if there's like common ones that you heard, but like one thing that I've heard a lot is like people are sort of like that lack of motivation to like sort of like get that first step, I guess, in a sort of way, moving.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they know all these things, like, let's just say, but like it's so hard for them to like get started. Like, what would you say to those people or to them?
Man, I would probably put my coaching hat on. Here's my, okay, real quick side rant. A coach is not somebody who's just there to like high five you and be like, yes, you're doing great the whole way. A coach is going to be like, hey, you're not doing great. And they're going to tell you when you're not doing great, and they're going to tell you how to fix it. So my coaching hat on, the people who are like, I know I need to do all these things, but I'm just having a hard time finding motivation. Motivation is fleeting. And if you can't get yourself to do it, you don't really want it. Like, you don't want it enough. Like, y'all know, y'all have been through, y'all are, I mean, Mike, you're going to school still. I'm sure some days you wake up and like, wow. Yeah. I'm surprised you wake up and you're like, man, I'm still going to school. Like, oh my God. But you're doing that because you really want the end result. All right. If you really want something, if you truly, really want something, you're going to keep going for it, no matter how expensive it is, no matter how hard it is, no matter how frustrating it is, no matter if you wake up days and you're like, God, I wish I wasn't doing this. Motivation is fleeting, but your dedication to your goal, that is something that's going to get you there. So that's my slightly, what am I trying to say? That's my coaching hat on. If somebody is like, I just don't have the motivation, I'm like, okay, so then you don't want it. Like, you really just don't want to be what you say you want to be. Because if you did, you would do it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, some days I really want potato chips, and there's nothing that's going to stand in my way from eating a bag of potato chips. I'm going to get my butt up and I'm going to drive to the store. It's the same thing. If you really want to be a certain way, physically, mentally, whatever it is, have a different career, like, you're going to go do it. It's the same thing with your fitness. It's just frustrating and hard, I think, for people, because we look in the mirror so much. Stop looking in the mirror so much, people. Like, we look in the mirror so much. We look on social media so much. We compare ourselves so much to all these other people. And it seems so unfathomable, like out of reach, these things that we want to be at, these things that we want to do, and these things that we want to, these people that we want to be, quote unquote. But really, you just need to, put your head down and just go. Like, stop looking at other people. Stop worrying about other people looking at you. Bobby, stop worrying about people looking at you on YouTube. You look great. They want to see your face. Okay. And you just got to do it.
There you go. And I guess, like, so this next section is about like sort of the weirdest scenarios you've been in, like, fitness wise.
Okay.
I remember, like, when I'm in the gym, so there's this one time, well, probably like many times, to be honest, but there's one of them that's kind of stand out in my mind. I was bench pressing, and I was trying to do like the last rep, essentially, of the set, and I just could not get it, because I was like, just push one more, and there wasn't like the safety rungs. I didn't have a spotter, so then I was just like trying to go up, and then it's like up, not reaching that rung, and it's just like kind of like I just like put on my chest, And I'm just like, all right, so how do I get out of here? And so I
Oh
just
my gosh.
start shimmying and scooting the barbell down to my waist. And then I was like, ugh, and then I just put it on a bench. And then when I do that, I just kind of like look around, it's like, nobody saw that, right?
Oh my gosh.
And then I just like, all right, time to just put it back onto the rack and just like, all right, I'm done.
Oh man. Okay. Well, some just advice for you, Mike, in the future. When you're pushing heavy weight by yourself on a barbell, I suggest not putting the clips on the side so that if that happens, you can just
Yeah, that's what he said
dip
too.
the barbell. Listen to Bobby. He knows what he's talking about. um, the weirdest thing I've seen when training, man, I don't know. Working out just in general is weird. Like I literally, my job is to walk around and like watch my clients' butts while they do things and be like your butt's not in the right position. Like get it into position. So,
You hear that a lot. You hear that a lot.
yeah, it's true. Us as a society, we don't use our butts enough. I'm just saying.
That's true. Always sitting.
Yes, exactly. And our butts are underactive. Anyways, go do some butt stuff, you guys. It'll make your whole core stronger. Man, this is supposed to be a family podcast. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything that I think is weird.
I think I remember a scenario that you posted on your Instagram about someone wanting to only go once or twice a month, but he wants you to make him a full workout schedule or something like that.
Oh man, yeah. You want me to rant about that?
Yeah, just a little, just some insight.
Yeah. So insight to personal training. That's a great question. I think a lot of times people don't realize how much time goes into building a program for someone, like a specific program. We see all these things online that are like, oh, I can buy this program for $20, or oh, I can do that, which is great. Those are all very general, those are very general programs that will probably get you close to what you want to be, or even to what you want to be. But if you want something personal for you, like if you go and you're like, I want a personal trainer who's going to build me a program for me, that takes a lot of time. And I get this question all the time. I get this from friends. I get this from acquaintances a lot, who are like, oh, she's a kind of a friend and she'll give me a discount. I get this from acquaintances a lot. They want me to give them a discount on a program or something. And they're like, oh, I was hoping to pay like $60 for like 4 weeks of workouts specifically for me. And that is so unrealistic. Think about it this way. Yes, I'm going to be at that in-person training session with you. And, you might go pay a masseuse $60 an hour for one session, but your masseuse isn't like, hey, Bobby, here are some things that you need to be doing at home to fix that shoulder that you came in for because you're in pain. They're not going to be calling you and saying, hey, have you been doing your things? They're not going to give you, an app to like follow or anything like that. So there's so much outside of that personal training session that you have with your trainer that goes into your training. And if it's not, like, I tell this to people all the time, if you are paying a trainer like $60, honestly, a $60 session, like if you're going to see a personal trainer twice a week and it costs you $120 a month, $120 a week to see that trainer for seeing them twice a week, like that's cheap. Like that's a cheap personal trainer. Because you're paying them $60 an hour for their time right there. And if your trainer isn't texting you afterwards, if they're not checking up on you, if they're not doing all of, all those things, if they're not giving you a tracking system for your weights and things like that, if they're not giving you stuff outside, yeah, sure, that sounds good. But I personally, as a trainer, I would honestly question their dedication to you a little bit. Because they're not going to see that time as being valuable. Whereas me, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a cheap personal trainer, but I'm going to give my people everything they need. Like my clients, they will literally call me at like random hours of the day because they're like, hey, I am at the gym right now. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, hey, let's jump on FaceTime really quickly. Let me watch your form. Let me see what's going on. If your trainer's not doing that for you, you probably are paying a trainer a little bit less, and that's okay. But if you really want that personalized attention, which if you're going to pay a personal trainer, in my opinion, I'm like, you should get that very personalized attention. Like you're going to have to be ready to invest in your health and wellness. And investing in your health and wellness in the long run, it's just like any other investment. It's going to be so invaluable. You're going to be seeing the doctor less. You're going to be, having less pain while you're doing things. You're going to be seeing the active release therapist less. You're going to be sick less. You're going to be taking all of those other things that you would be spending all this money on that don't seem super expensive, but in the long run, if you go see the doctor once a month and you're also seeing an active release therapist once a month, and you also have, somebody else who, like a massage therapist who's helping you do all these things, like you're going to be seeing those people less. You're going to be paying them less. You're going to be paying your trainer just a little bit more to keep you healthy. Does that answer your question, Bobby?
Yeah. I just thought of it as a kind of a weird scenario as well. Like people asking you.
Oh yeah. People do that all the time. They're like, oh, you're a trainer. It must be really easy for you to like whip out a workout. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you can pay me for that because that's my job. You wouldn't go up to a lawyer and be like, hey, can you give me legal advice for free? Because the lawyer's going to be like, no. That's funny.
I guess one other question is like, if someone wants to be a personal trainer, how would you tell them to get started now that you've been through like all this already and you have like a lot of experience?
Yeah. So I follow, there's a really great strength and conditioning coach. His name is Brett Bartholomew. He's awesome. He has a program that he puts out now, and it's actually has nothing. I mean, it has a lot to do with training, but he's all about communication and as coaches communicating to your athletes well. And one of the things he says, which I think it like really hit me the other day, I think it's great, is he hates saying, follow your passion. It was like, because your passion is great, but you have no business skills for that passion necessarily. You have no communication skills for that passion necessarily. So if somebody wants to be a personal trainer, and you're like, that's what I'm really passionate about, that is awesome. But simply getting a personal training certification, like I have seen so many personal trainers, they are like the most enthusiastic. They're like, this is my passion. I love working out. I love exercising. Just because you love exercising and you're passionate about exercising doesn't mean you're going to make a good personal trainer, because there's so much business on the backside of being a personal trainer. You have to know how to sell your product. Have to know how to sell yourself. Not only that, you have to know how to take all of that nerdy book stuff and translate that to something that your client or your class or whoever you're training can understand. I can sit there and I can tell when I'm getting too deep on the physiology and anatomy of things, because my clients' eyes just like glaze over and they're like, I don't know what you said at all. And I'm like, okay, how can I make this sound more like, why should I, how can I make this sound better so that you can care about why we're doing these things? So someone who wants to be a personal trainer, like, yes, go get your personal training cert. Absolutely. Because you have to, because don't ever hire a personal trainer who doesn't have a personal training certification, first off. But then continue to grow yourself, and not just in the nerdy science stuff that you're so passionate about. You have to do the other things. I would highly suggest, as a brand new personal trainer, getting a business coach, like getting somebody who knows how to run a business, because whether you know it or not, whether you're a personal trainer at a gym or you're like me and you have your own program and things, you are your business. Like a personal trainer is their business. And even if you're a personal trainer at a gym, the gym is going to be feeding you leads, but they're not necessarily going to be feeding you clients that you're going to keep forever. If you can't take a client and not only give them, anybody can write a good program. Anybody can write a hard workout. Bobby can write a hard workout. He's going to be like, do 10 burpees and then sprint and then 10 more burpees and sprint. That's really freaking hard. Anybody can do that. But the hard part is taking these potential clients who have all kinds of different needs and giving them not only amazing customer service, but also getting them to their goals and seeing you as the trainer, seeing your value. Like, why am I paying you all this money? Like, you need to be giving them value, which again is why I say, if you're paying a trainer like $60 an hour, but they're not texting you, they're not following up with you, they're not giving you nutritional advice, they're not doing all the extra stuff, like, in my opinion, I'm like, that's not worth it, because you're only going to get so far with that trainer. So new trainers out there, that's great that you are passionate about working out, but you need to be passionate about helping people. And how do you do that? You need to be able to get good at the things that are boring. You need to get good at doing business stuff. You need to have a tracking system. Oh my gosh, there's so many personal trainers who start and they're like, wait, I have to keep track of stuff to pay my taxes at the end of the year. I'm like, yeah. You need spreadsheets. You need to be good. You need to be at least decent at spreadsheets. Like, so yeah, that would be my advice for new trainers out there.
Awesome. That was a
Get a
lot.
coach.
Get a coach.
Get a
That's lot
coach,
of
trainers.
Good advice from the whole thing. So we're just gonna move on to but yeah, thanks for so much of the information that you've given us in this podcast.
Yeah.
I hope the readers will take something away from all the knowledge you imparted and advice. But now we're gonna move on to the game part of the podcast or show.
I can't wait.
And so, Bobby, what's the first question?
So, well, the game is would you rather?
Would you rather?
Oh gosh.
And so the first question
gosh.
is, would you rather fight one bear-sized duck or 10 duck-sized bears?
Oh man. I hate ducks. They freak me out. I got attacked by a duck when I was younger. So I guess I'd probably take the duck-sized bears. I think I would do that.
That'd be kind of cute too.
10 ducks. Yeah. I think I would take that too. They're just
hopefully I could just hopefully we could just like work it out and we could cuddle instead.
Hopefully they don't have really sharp claws.
Yeah. Oh man.
You do the same.
Yeah, that would be
I think the bears would be okay.
bears.
Well, actually, the duck can like
one bear-sized duck.
Yeah.
Too much.
Like he's gonna pick you up. Like a bear-sized duck is gonna eat you in one bite, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want my arm pecked off.
You need it.
Oh.
The second one is, would you rather be without elbows or without knees?
Oh man, both of those are so important to running. That's hard. I would say without elbows, because I would still be able to do so much. Your knees are so valuable, and so are your elbows, but your knees, gotta have my knees. I'd still be able to run, still be able to swim, still be able to do everything.
Yeah.
I think I'll be okay without my elbows.
Yeah, you just walk around like this and do things like that.
I have to like pick up my coffee cup like this.
Yeah.
Or drink out of straws all the time.
Yeah. These are too easy, I feel like.
Okay, so the next one is, would you rather have smelly feet or food stuck in your teeth all day?
Oh, smelly feet for sure, because I feel like my feet are always smelly. My runners out there can attest. They're like, oh yeah, we got bloody smelly feet all the time.
Wait, so how do you prevent like athlete's foot and stuff like that?
Shower after, and not in public places. Yeah, I've actually never had to deal with anything like that. I've never really, our feet are just smelly a little bit because, they get sweaty in your running shoes.
True.
What would you pick?
What would I pick? Yeah, I think smelly feet, because like you don't want to have like people looking at you with like food in your mouth, like, oh, why do you have something there, you have something there, you have something there, like the whole day.
Yes.
That's
exactly. And then you pick it out and it comes back. That's annoying.
What about you?
I think I will have food stuck in my teeth all day.
So you can have
It'll
a
be a day when I don't see anybody.
so you can have like a constant snack or something, you know?
Yeah, save it for later. That's funny.
All right,
The next one is would you rather be the world's worst superhero or live the most boring existence ever?
Oh man, I'd have to be the world's worst superhero. I cannot handle boredom. Can't. It'd have to be, because even if I sucked at being a superhero and I was like, wow, I'm not very good at this. Like I'd still be able to have like cool superpowers, I assume. Like,
that's true. That's true.
People call you a superhero.
They do? Who calls me that?
Oh no, I mean just in this scenario, they will still call you.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I was like, wait, who calls me that? I need to go thank them.
Yeah, I'll also be a worse superhero than boring.
Then what superpower would you want to have then?
It's always between these two. I'd either love to be able to fly or super speed. Like the Flash, man, that's the coolest. Because
He has a lot of
he's
ability.
he does. He can run so fast that he can like basically walk on water, and he can run so fast that he can like basically teleport.
Yeah.
And he can basically be invisible at the same time.
Travel in time, face through things.
Wait, that movie was what was that movie? Where he
Justice League?
The Justice League. Zack Snyder's version of the Justice League.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he went back in time.
He basically changed time. I was like, what is
ran so fast. I don't know if that's really possible, but yeah, super speed or flying, that would be. What about you, Mike?
my superpowers? I don't know. I'm always hung up upon like Doctor Strange because he's like a doctor, but he has like superpowers, like all cool and stuff. I was like,
So you'd basically beat him. I like it.
that's my guy. What about
So in one of the other podcasts, we talked about WandaVision, and right now WandaVision is like one of my favorite characters, but she's so powerful and she could change things.
Yes.
She can basically destroy people. So I think
Wanda's overpowered. I feel like
Yeah.
she's overpowered.
WandaVision was good. My husband and I are watching Loki right now, which is also good.
Oh, we are too.
Keep it coming, Disney Plus. Keep it coming.
Yeah, I know, right? So another question that's similar to the what we were talking about, like superheroes and stuff, is like, would you rather talk like Batman or Mickey Mouse for the rest of your life?
Oh my gosh, that's hard. I can't handle either of their voices. I'd be annoyed every time I open my own mouth. And Bobby knows I like to talk. Probably. I hate this question. Probably, I guess Batman. Because at least with the Batman voice, people could still there's still an ounce of like seriousness in the Batman voice.
Yeah, I think I would also pick Batman.
Yeah, Batman.
I think that's the way to go. Mickey Mouse is too much. Mickey Mouse is too much.
All right, so we have reached the end of the podcast, but I just want to kind of give you this time to tell people, where can they find you, how do they contact you, just the whole gist. So this time is kind of for you to talk about.
Oh, thanks. I have my website, sofitsonia.com. You can find me there, or you can find me on Instagram, sofitsonia, sofit_Sonia. That's it. That's where you can find me. Those places. Facebook, Sonia Rachement, all of it. Yeah. Let me know. If anybody listening wants like running tips and things like that on my website, you can leave me your email, and I send out monthly newsletters and training tips and things like that. And there's I've got a blog on there with a bunch of different all kinds of running and fitness related tips, not only just like, hey, what should you eat and how should you lift, but also just a lot of, I'm really big on mentality. So a lot of my blog posts have to do with mentality and and how do you stay driven and how do you stay motivated and dedicated to your goals and things like that. So yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
We'll put all those links in the description for the YouTube, and so like if they click on it, they know where to find you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Well, thanks for having me. This is super fun.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be our first guest on the podcast, basically.
I love it. This is
Maybe
my first
our
podcast
first guest,
ever.
but
So
also first video of our faces.
Yeah. So first,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I love that. And then when I'm in New York, we should totally do it.
definitely.
I'm so down.
All right. So I'm just gonna close this off. So this is the end, guys. Thank you for joining us for the Twin Dragons podcast.
And thank you again for listening. Thank you again, Sonia, for joining us today. And we hope you guys enjoy the episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See ya.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you again, guys, for listening to the Twin Dragons podcast. If you guys want to know more about a topic or want us to do a specific video, let us know in the comments below.
And please like and subscribe if you want to help support us. Keep a lookout on our social media accounts so that you can keep up to date with any new episodes that come out and get connected. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.